Okay everybody, Tectalar here again with the 19th episode of the Heroes Appendix video series. Its purpose is to help newer and veteran players alike to fully understand the ins and outs of all the characters in Hero Wars Mobile. In today's video, we are reviewing the second place winner of the most recent vote amongst my patrons, Dante, who is probably one of the newest focuses of scrutiny by newer players as well as older players who don't spend heavily in this game, wondering if the hero who was the meme of the franchise for being absolutely worthless is now any good since his rework in September of 2020. The good news is he's found himself a home in the meta tier, partnered with Aurora and Arachne, and he is able to threaten a lot of different teams now. In today's video, we are going to be discussing his skills, how they visually appear, and their uses both practically and strategically, when to use Dante, when not to use him, his roles in the team, skin priority order, artifact priority order, glyph priority order. First up is Dante's activatable skill, Instrument of Fate, which is commonly referred to as his ultimate because this is the ability he can use once his yellow energy gauge is filled during battle. Dante grows larger in size, raising all four of his hands into the air and clutching a spear in each. He leaps into the air like in an anime fight scene and throws the four spears at four different enemies, typically the four closest. If there's not four or more enemies listed, it'll hit the first three and then start over again from the closest one until it consumes them all. An important note is this skill gains additional benefits from his Violet ability, which will be discussed in that section. Dante's second skill is called Foresight. Dante cocks his head back and his top two arms, and then his bottom two arms start to glow, and he holds them in front of his face as spiraling lines, varying color based on your selected skin, will come out of the ground around his teammates' feet, encircling them and lasting for 7 seconds. This skill raises all allies' dodge rating for the duration by a minuscule 10% physical attack ratio, which is pretty low, but fear not, it isn't dealing any damage, it's actually affecting the amount of dodge rating your teammates can get. So the skill is a pretty drastic improvement to most heroes, especially ones who already have the ability to dodge. When he's maxed, it will give over 7,600 dodge rating to your whole team. A note is this is considered a buff and can be disabled by Darkstar's ultimate ability. The initial startup for this skill is 8 seconds, and this skill can be used once every 14 seconds. However, the 7 seconds that the buff is active counts as part of the cooldown. So what this means is that there are only 7-second windows that this skill will not be active, unless Dante gets stunned or crowd controlled in some sort of way during the animation, preventing him from using this skill. Another interesting note, Thea's passive reduces cooldowns in half, which means that if Thea is on the team and Dante is low in health, his dodge skill will have a 100% uptime. Dante's third skill is called Retribution. This is probably one of the most misunderstood skills in the game currently. It works like a flowchart. The condition is Dante or an ally needs to dodge some damage. If it does, it checks first, does Dante have a spectral spear floating above his head already? If yes, nothing will happen. If no, a spear will appear above Dante's head. Next, when Dante's next basic attack comes around, is there a spear already floating above Dante? If yes, he will throw the spear, dealing damage and knocking the enemy back. If there is no spear, he will perform a standard basic attack. A common misconception is that every time Dante or his allies dodge, he will throw the spear, knocking the enemies back. This is not how the skill works, nor is it how it was intended to work. He will only throw the spear to knock them back based on the timing of his basic attacks, and he can only stockpile one spear at a time, with the exception of his first skill. A note is this skill is further modified by his Violet ability. Another note is this skill's damage can be dodged, however, the knockback from the basic attack and application of the debuff cannot be dodged, except in a situation where the hero is affected by a skill that roots them to the ground. Dante's violet ability is called Shackles of Weakness, which modifies both his first and his third skills. Whenever he throws a spectral spear, conjured from dodging or from his ultimate, Dante will add a debuff symbolized by a twin spear mark just above the affected target's head, which reduces the target's main stat for 7 seconds. Main stats include intelligence, agility, or strength. It does not reduce all three for every hero. It only focuses on the stat which each hero uses as their main stat. This is listed in the stat screen for each hero and can be determined by which type of skin stone that they accept. At max value, this skill will reduce the target's main stat by 5,208, which means 5,208 armor reduced from agility heroes and 15,624 physical attack, 5,208 physical attack reduced from strength heroes and 208,320 health, and 5,208 physical attack reduced from intelligence heroes, and 5,208 magic defense, and 15,624 reduction to their magic attack. So a good way to compare the effectiveness of this skill, or this debuff rather, is that it's equivalent to setting a hero who was maxed with a 6-star artifact ring and maxed out in default skin, and if you set their default skin to 0 and you set their artifact ring to 0, that's how effective this skill is. This skill, while simple at face value, can have a number of interesting effects on heroes and their skills. So let's look at the things we know about base stats. The agility gives 1 armor and 3 physical attack for every point. Strength gives 1 physical attack and 40 health. Intelligence gives 1 physical attack, 1 magic defense, and 3 magic attack. Critical hit resistance, meaning the afflicted heroes will be more susceptible to receiving critical hits. Dodge penetration, meaning afflicted heroes will be more likely to have their attacks dodged. And skills of heroes based on magic attack, physical attack, or health will be decreased in effectiveness. Examples can include Kark or Kira's damage, and Vari's shield protects for less, and Corvus's altar hits less hard. There are a ton more examples, but this is just to give an idea. This also means you can afflict agility-based heroes with this debuff, and there's a chance their armor could fall below other allies and become the target of Yasmin, or potentially gain Anvari's shield also, so be wary of this. A note, while afflicted with this debuff, strength-based heroes have their maximum health reduced. It will be evidenced by the portrait of the hero displaying a much higher percent of their current health than the health bar above the hero's head will indicate. This is because the drop in strength is being factored into the health bar of the portrait, but not above the hero's head, so you can see the progression of your damage. This is important because strength-based heroes, while they may show their missing health above the hero themselves, if the portrait shows they're at full health, it means they will not be able to be healed beyond this amount. A note, Celeste's Healing Orb can remove and prevent the application of the debuff, as well as Nebula's Heal can also remove the debuff. Let's take a deeper look now and see when you should be using Dante. As mentioned in the intro, with both Aurora and Arachne together, everybody has suspected this at one point or another, that the only tank who can dodge, Aurora, will pair very well with the guy who benefits from his allies dodging attacks. A lot of people lose their thought process there, however, and aren't sure where else to go. Well, Arachne adds 2 5-second AoE stuns, and Dante and Aurora will typically pin the other team against the back wall. You can have a lot of fun plugging other heroes into this combination. Other than that, Dante can be placed in any team relatively effectively, because he adds an entirely new dynamic to the fights. However, people commonly want him to be a damage dealer since he's an agility-based hero. However, try to put him into teams where you think dodge or knockback will really benefit you, and think of him more like Nebula, that he will rarely be in a position to do damage. He's just creating havoc by way of offering dodge, knockback, and effectiveness reduction. Now we'll take a look at when you should be avoiding Dante in your team. There's not really any specific time to avoid Dante other than paying attention to your team composition and not putting him somewhere that there will be little effect. For example, if you are using a team who only typically loses to magic dealers, it wouldn't make a lot of sense to try to incorporate Dante into this team. Now we'll briefly discuss his roles in the team. Dante's main role is support, but in rare scenarios he can double as a damage dealer. He really is intended to disrupt teams that focus on positioning as a big part of their game, or who would otherwise try to bully themselves into the center of your team. For example, units like Galahad and Faceless and opposing Dante, or to abuse his team dodge buffs. In this segment we'll be discussing his skins. The top priority skin is his Solar Skin, which offers 7,095 physical attack. Dante is in a unique position to really need 3 stats pretty high in priority, so you'll notice they are balanced between different sources. His physical attack actually grants him a significant amount of dodge for about 50% of the fight, thanks to his green ability, as well as all of his allies, so it's important to level his attack early. Second in priority is his Winter Skin, which offers 106,645 health. It is up next because this directly is tied to his survivability. He can't keep up his antics if he's dead. The third in priority is his Romantic Skin, which offers him 2,960 dodge rating and helps him keep himself out of harm's way to dramatically raise his dodge chance. The last in priority is his Default Skin, which offers him 1,365 armor and 4,095 physical attack, which contributes the smallest amount to his dodge chance and overall survivability. Next we'll discuss artifact priority, which means which artifact is the most important to level up first. First up is the Artifact Book, which will grant him 2,967 dodge rating and 53,394 health. This boasts the largest amount of survivability for him, granting him both passive dodge and a larger health pool. Second in priority is his Artifact Ring, which grants him 11,970 physical attack and 3,990 armor, which offers a great deal of utility to his skills, particularly his green skill. His ring also affords him some minor survivability by way of critical hit resistance. Lastly is his Artifact Weapon, Spear of Fate, which grants 8,898 dodge rating to the entire team for 9 seconds. This effect is more particularly geared towards his allies, but in many situations can truly unlock his team's defense potential in the mitigation of physical attacks. In our final segment, we will now be discussing glyph stat priority. So what this means is of all the stats your hero can get, which ones are the most important for you to upgrade first to yield the best results. The first glyph up is Health, which grants him 30,800 health to help supplement his survivability. Second glyph to choose is Dodge, which grants 1,120 dodge rating and is the next biggest contributor to his survivability. Third in priority is Physical Attack, totaling 2,240 physical attack, which is the next biggest contributor to boosting survivability by way of his team's buffs and enemy debuffs. The fourth glyph to choose is his Agility glyph, totaling 560 armor and 1,680 physical attack, which grants him additional damage and support skill gains as well as critical hit resistance. And the fifth and final glyph is his Armor, which grants 3,360 armor and contributes the least to his abilities and might be something you want to consider leaving at 0 or somewhere in between, depending on who you partner him with, to try to yield to try to be the target of Yasmin's ultimate ability to protect his allies. Okay everybody, hopefully you found this video informative. If you do, please like, Follow and subscribe to my YouTube channel called Server 2 Productions. Another thing to consider is recommending my content to your friends as well if you know they yearn for knowledge of the game. Since these videos are private, word of mouth is how they will get spread. Also, for a large and active Hero Wars mobile community, join my Facebook group called Hero Wars Mobile Community The GOAT. The link will be in the video description. Thanks for watching.